see SP
And I'll
Plus
give
or
you-
something this morning?
No, SP Plus?
The parking guy. Did you have a
Yeah, I know.
parking? Okay. I thought you had a parking.
That
guy.
was, the Moo Road chapter I was talking to about the community
Oh.
grant.
Somebody was blocking your driveway. I don't know what I heard.
What, are you all right?
And I'll give you a Joe Biden hug.
Yes.
Grant application, the applicant is on the applicant.
Yeah, and they are the 501c3, and they're not church affiliated.
We won't look at the application. Okay.
Teresa?
Sure.
Okay. I know. Okay.
Okay, side by side, you just,
Okay. All right, I don't want them, okay, all right. I need to go get my book. Sorry, I'm late, I didn't do it.
Okay.
Other stuff. On my desk, I'll get it. Exactly where it is. Do you need a hug this morning? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, your color's good this morning. Yesterday, I don't
Yeah,
know so
yeah.
much. I have to
Yesterday
call
was-
Kathy and have a talk with her, I guess.
Yeah. Ellie walked me through the numbers.
And it flipped out again. I'm sorry.
all right, so,
When was all this done?
Oh, she was on a teacher thing, yeah. So anyway, so I sent her my chart in a PDF, and that's all. Then that made me think, well, maybe I should just word it so it can be referred to it.
Morning, Hillary. Good, how are you? You were asking about SP Plus, Kevin?
And I thought somebody told me a truck was blocking the driveway.
Oh, trash truck.
That's me.
They block the whole street when they get the whole block done, and then they move on. I know. And then West Street is blocked, it's not like that, they have to secure this right around the thing. So who knows what's going on there? So is this the, what is this?
I don't know. Teresa just brought it.
Oh, Teresa brought it? Why? Well, that's what I just asked the question, where did
Yeah.
that come from? I sent it to everybody.
No, but remember I said I had the word.
Yeah.
I said it to you,
Okay.
I said to you, I said it to you,
Okay, well, this one's
So,
not.
But this first time, like, it looks like a change of thing because there's a typo.
Okay, well,
But I
Well,
don't know what version.
Well, all right.
well, let's see, I didn't print anything out either. Yeah. Yes, I think, no, I sent two emails. One was the report, draft of the report. I sent it to you. I sent it to the committee. I know, because Ellen, this doesn't look like how it's going to What's highlighted? Who's highlighted?
These are my highlights of things that I think need to be addressed in that part of the draft.
This doesn't look like what I think, but, because I spaced it out so that it was easy. This is just everything all run together.
That was the first one with the rough word.
Okay, so where's,
The only thing I can provide is
right now. Should- Okay, did you do?
It's right here.
Okay, that's it,
That's
yeah.
it.
I have it too. Yeah, this is not,
That was the first training put together.
Yeah.
Before we adjourned yesterday.
are you're using the one I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one. So I don't need this one.
So Ellie, you want to make an insertion on page 5 of this document?
Which is what? Under tax summary? or
No, under,
Prior to tax summary?
Okay, I could continue on that. Yeah, let me just
Okay.
continue on that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a continuation of, what's before tax summary?
it's continuation of the,
Your,
where did it go?
So what are you wanting to add, so I can
Yeah.
put it in, or do you
Yeah.
have some?
Well, why
language?
don't we start the
Okay.
meeting? So, Finance Committee is called to order. All members are in attendance. First item on the agenda is the agenda. We have some unfinished business from yesterday's meeting, but we also have some essays to take up. So I would accept a motion on the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the agenda as written, as amended.
Right.
Is it amended agenda?
and is it amended? Did we amend it?
This, we're amending it to include the
Include this-
essays.
Okay, got it. All right, I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, what's the will of the committee? Shall we dispose of the essays?
Yeah,
I would think
so.
they're all fairly self-explanatory. So, essay 4719, which is from Planning and Zoning.
Would you like me to comment?
Donations, I'm not,
We got a contribution to do, we call it a contribution, it's the cost of a traffic impact study from an outside
Right.
party, and we need the appropriation to spend it.
Okay. Is
I
there-
have no objection. I just think it's misleading to say it's a donation
Yeah,
when
it's
they
just,
don't
it's
have a
the,
choice.
it's the account that it goes into, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It's probably a bad word to describe it. They have given us money to conduct a traffic impact study.
So do you want to make an
I'll
amendment?
move SA 4719 for approval.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next item is SA 4819, Public Works Revenue.
Okay, this one is a
Grant?
supplemental allocation for a grant from the Annapolis Downtown Partnership.
Right.
They want to get the new recycling cans for downtown. This is the one who's really anxious to get this essay processed so they can purchase them.
Is there discussion or is there a motion?
Are they giving us a grant or we're giving them a grant? I don't,
They're receiving a grant, I understand.
We're receiving $3,000 from
yes,
them?
Yes, we got $3,000 and we would like to spend
I
it.
thought Eric talked about it.
okay.
So just to confirm, no budget impact?
Well,
No budget impact.
um,
We just need the authority to spend the money that we received.
well, wouldn't it increase grant revenue by $3,000?
Increases grant revenue by $3,000, but we
Right.
spend the $3,000. What she
Okay.
was asking
All
about
right,
is
so
net
that's all right.
fiscal impact, zero.
Net zero impact.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll move SA 4819 for approval.
Is there a second?
So, second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. The
Aye.
ayes have
Aye.
it. SA 51. Singles on sailboats. That's,
We received some funding from this group for some CPR training, and the fire department would like that reinstated to their budget.
Okay. Questions or discussion?
Move approval of SA 5119.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. SA 52, the mystery.
Oh, you can't see it?
No,
Okay, it's a 99...
no, we have it. We
Okay.
have it,
Yeah.
it just, there's no
It's-
title to it.
Oh, okay. It's a donation of $99.06 for the youth triathlon / Mighty Milers. Rec and Parks got a donation of this amount, and they would like to reinstate the appropriation authority to their budget so they can spend it.
Someone made a contribution of $99.06.
I don't know. I don't know what it relates to. There might be
Costs that
some reason
much
for
to
that
write.
particular cost, I don't know.
Must have been 94 cents for something.
Cost that much to write the
All right.
supplemental.
Is there a motion?
I move to accept supplemental, recommend supplemental allocation 52-19.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. SA 5319.
Yes, this is another donation, Stanton Center, $2,360.26. They would like to be able to purchase supplies with that funding.
Move approval, SA 5319.
Second.
Do we know who made this donation?
I don't, it's not on here, I can try to find out
No,
for you,
that's
but,
okay. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The
You
ayes
just
have
want to
it.
hit them up for more, right?
No, I just was
It's
kind of,
making it
again, it's
20
a strange amount.
Yeah.
well, and it could be more than one donation to the Stanton Center put together. It could be more than one donor.
Okay. SA 54-19.
Another
Parks
contribution
and
to
Recs.
Stanton Center.
Yeah, another Rec and Park Stanton
Contribution.
Center donation for $1,000.
Hat in his hand. Is there a motion?
Move approval of SA 5419.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And SA 55-19.
This is a request from Rec and Parks to spend the money that they received from a donation for a bench, a memorial tree or bench program.
Okay, do we know where these benches are going?
I think there's some in Eastport. I think there's one down on Fourth, I think there's one on both ends of Fourth Street.
Yeah, but those were donated long ago.
Yeah, but I think it's the same program.
And I
don't
know they
where
place some of them in the parks.
Yeah.
I don't know where
Mhm.
these particular ones are going.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion?
Are we legal?
What? Pardon? Yeah, we did. Yes, I banged the gavel and called the roll and,
And we voted, so,
yeah.
we'll have to go back and review
All right,
quickly.
let's just approve them all together then, I guess.
Yeah.
Move approval of SA 5519. We'll go back and do all of them
Yeah.
at one time.
Sorry, Steve, we're getting really tired now. We're just
All right, so
talking.
these are,
These are the same?
No. Well, yeah.
These,
Yeah.
this and this?
Yeah,
All right, I made all my changes
sorry,
on
who's,
there.
but different from,
whose red lines are these?
That's Teresa's
Oh,
stuff.
great, okay.
All right. So, for the record, are
we
we-
need to vote on,
You're still saying for the record, it
Okay.
has not started. So I'm hitting start, and then you have to call to order, do everything again. We go-
Call the Finance Committee meeting to order. All members are in attendance. We have moved to a motion to modify the agenda to include several essays.
I'll move it. Approve the agenda as amended.
I second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Mr. Chair, may I suggest we take SA 47 through 55 as a group?
Yes.
I'll
Is there-
move approval for SA 47, 48, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. All right. Moving back to the agenda. We have before us how late did you stay?
Till my iPad died.
A draft of pulling together all the pieces that each of us were assigned of the report to the Finance Committee. It is 13 pages long with some pieces to be filled in. I don't know, City Manager, do you have this now? I have it now. All right, so let's start with committee members. There are some things that I noticed that need to be fixed. On mine, starting on page 2, in the first paragraph, before it says, "Note, this will be discussed later," I think it would be helpful for our colleagues to add a parenthetical expression advising the council members to look for the replacement pages, 18, 19, and 21.
Okay.
21, right? 18, 19, 20?
20 and 21, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
there's
true.
4
There's
sheets.
4 pages.
So do we want to say, I mean, what's the verbiage we want to put there?
Is there
I-
a data date you can give us for when these pages 18, 19, 20, and 21 are officially finalized? Would that be a fair request, or?
When you're saying a data date,
I mean, draw the
What?
line into, because you could keep going. I mean, for example, the supplemental allocations revise the numbers somewhat, so.
well, that's a part of one of those columns, and I would say that I would stop those moving it right now. The only reason I put the other ones in is because they were material. These additional donations,
Yeah, we're done. The movers,
They were done?
we're done adjusting the adjusted budget. We are done changing the adjusted FY19 budget column that goes in
The book?
the proposed
The
budget
book.
book. We are done.
I suggest
Well,
that.
wait, yesterday, Jody, you said that there were new pages coming or not new pages?
There
Do we
was the
have those 4
sprinkler fund.
pages?
you now have the most recent revision,
Okay,
which includes some corrections that we've done that are coming to you in the form of amendments, because we have errors in there,
okay.
which,
So those,
so what you have is the
we
most
have them,
recent.
but do our colleagues have them? I
No.
think this is, Ross, if I'm not speaking out of turn, you're talking about making sure that our
Right.
colleagues acknowledge the 4 new pages.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's
Right.
what this is. It's
All
not
right,
asking
so
for anything different.
I can have those ready with the page number prominent and disperse those to all of
All.
the council.
Right.
So-
And then Ellie will explain it to them.
So do we want those as an appendix, as one of the appendixes?
I think that would be a
appendices,
good idea.
To highlight it, so let's do that, and that becomes Appendix 1?
Yeah.
Is that the first one?
Mhm.
And
So
I-
we can simply say, refer to or see Appendix 1?
Yeah.
Right.
And may I suggest, instead of saying, revise page 18, 19, 20, and 21, just reiterate the titles of each? You know, that we have a revised summary of revenues and
You're-
expenditures.
you're right.
We have a revised proposed total by fund, and
We'll label it in really big letters right across the top, bold print, title of the schedule, and the page number that it is replacing.
Right. Okay,
So what's the language that's going to go here then, instead
Council
of
members should see Appendix.
see
A,
Appendix
Appendix 1
1 or A or whatever?
for replacement tables for all fund summary, page 18.
Are you getting this? Page 2.
Total revenues by fund, page 19.
Do we want to list all the page titles?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
thought
that's what I'm
that's what-
asking.
yeah.
I'm writing.
Yeah, total revenues by fund, page 19 of the budget book, and total expenditures by fund, page 20 of the budget book, and,
So listing the titles of those 4 pages.
let's see,
One of them doesn't have a title, does it? Do all of them have titles?
yeah, so page 21 is
It doesn't have a title on it. Or
fund
does it?
balance summary.
Okay, fund balance.
Which we received on May 9th. All right, so, because they need to know that those are changes in the budget book.
Okay, so we're taking out the sentence that says, "Note as will be discussed later, the amount of proposed fund." Or is that,
No, that's a different. Oh, well,
that's the same?
yeah, you're right.
So are we leaving that sentence in and then making a note to see
But
appendix?
yeah, because this sentence has to do with fund balances, which is table 20, page 21 table. Should we capitalize fund balance amounts? I don't know.
Not necessary.
All right. The other thing on that page is the amount in the second paragraph from the bottom is 540,000, not 54,000.
540,000?
Right, there's a zero missing after the 4.
Okay.
On the next page, where we talk about the Main Street rebricking, in a discussion I had with the city manager and Katie, I don't know whether we can just recommend this as is, or do we break up the funding to get into the design phase, then it comes back to the council and goes to the HPC, or do we just add language in the description of the plan?
I thought we had legislation to come to address this, do we?
Okay, if I may address the question, we don't have any legislation, okay, right now. There's no legislation for Main Street rebricking. You're being asked to program funds in an out year. It's not appropriating the funds. It's saying this is our plan in the 5 ensuing fiscal years. This is our capital improvement plan, and that includes Main Street rebricking. You cannot, the city council cannot, by way of changing a project description in the budget book, require city management to take something to HPC unless in the code it's required to go to HPC. And if it's required to go to HPC in the code, we're going to have to comply with that, whether you put it in the project description or you don't. So you can
I don't
say-
agree with that statement.
I am-
We can,
Okay,
by virtue of passing this as the council, as a policy that we are asking for a review. We're not asking for approval. We're
Okay.
asking them to come back with comments. We can ask anybody
you
under
can
the sun
ask,
to
what I'm
review
saying,
anything.
Alderman Arnett, is you may ask, but that doesn't mean it is a requirement.
I didn't say it was. We're asking it to be reviewed by
Okay.
the council
I-
and HPC. And they will come back to us with their review.
Should we change the word, excuse me, should we change the word ask to recommend? And that would be,
We're,
that would
trying
be
to find
acceptable.
Sentence 2, line 2, the Finance Committee asks for any
What
modification.
page of the document are you on, please?
well,
3.
it's on page, unnumbered page 3.
All right, my pages are not numbered,
No,
Takia.
nor are
None
ours.
of them are.
It's the
Okay,
third
you're on
page.
page 3?
Yes, they are.
At the top.
Why am I
It's the
looking at now?
beginning of, well, the
No, I'm
the
What's the
term
start of the
capital improvement
paragraph?
program's on the bottom of the previous page,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
the
I'm gonna
second
go- I have it
paragraph
online.
under capital projects.
Second paragraph.
Finance Committee has recommended 4 changes in project description and timing.
Okay. So, the way, so I think there's 2 things. First of all, as a legislative body, you don't have the authority in the code to approve the plans.
That's exactly why we have
Ro-
authority.
Ross, may I finish,
Yeah.
please? Thank you. Let's all stay calm here, okay? You don't have the authority to approve plans. What you do have the authority to do is approve appropriations. So when we get to the year that we're actually going to start doing something on Main Street, you appropriate funds for planning. You don't have to appropriate the funds for construction in that same year, okay? And so you then have the ability, when it comes time to the next year, appropriate the funds for construction, say, I want to see the plans. And if you don't like the plans, you don't appropriate the money for construction. That's your authority. Your authority is appropriation authority.
I'm not clear, because
Okay.
we approved the capital improvement.
Let's look at the budget book. Let's look at the budget book.
No, I'm looking at this. This is the capital
Yeah,
improvement
yeah, what
program.
page is it on there, Sheila? That's exactly what I want to
I
look at.
don't know where it is in your book, but
Okay.
mine is a separate,
Yeah, I just punched holes in mine.
yeah.
All right, so we are on
So-
page 23 of that document. Okay? So on page 23, it shows that we've programmed $1,850,000 for construction in FY 2024.
Yes.
Okay? We've already got the funds appropriated in the very first column, prior approved appropriations, $560,000 for design. Okay? When we get to where we are appropriating money, let's assume nothing changes in the timing, to where we're appropriating money in FY 2024, you say to us, I want to see the plans before I vote to appropriate the money.
Okay.
And that gives you, if you don't like the plans, you say, no, I'm not appropriating the money for construction. That's how you
Okay.
see plans.
Tell me how, and we're using plans differently. This is our plan as far as I'm concerned, but it's the program.
Design
Okay.
of Main Street.
You're talking about design.
I'm talking design of Main
I don't think
Street.
we're trying to get into that. But we want to add $100,000 to the 2020 budget
For Main Street?
for Main Street.
To do
That's
what?
To begin, and this is what I think it's saying here.
Well,
No, that's not.
We've
We're,
already approved 560,000.
There's,
I thought we were putting in another $100,000.
Well, there's already money approved for design.
And unspent. None of it's been spent.
Okay,
there's nothing to do on Main Street until the Hillman Garage is constructed.
okay, and I've jumped down. I'm at Hillman Garage, you're right. That's where the 100,000 is. So,
So-
never mind about
So,
Main Street.
committee members, if you look at page 23, we have every right to recommend to our colleagues, we strike the sentence, it also includes modification of the curb line and sidewalks. We don't accept that approval in this. We want that to come back to the council, and we want to ask HBC to also give us their input by virtual review. That's not them approving it, that's them giving us their input to help us think the project through. They are the body that deals with things going on in the historic district. So we have money when it comes to be done in '24. Maybe none of us will be here by then. But it is the sentence that also includes modification of the curb and sidewalk that needs to come out, or needs to be saying, need to say, upon review of the city council and of the HPC.
So if I may suggest, you absolutely can take that sentence out. That's fine. What you can't do is say the project requires the approval of the HPC.
I didn't say that.
That's
I
what you
said
just said in the
review.
second part of what you said,
I
Rob.
said, and review by the HPC.
And
In the
Okay, so-
report, okay,
We should take out an approval in line 4 of that paragraph.
yeah, because the word approval is in the report as drafted.
No, in this
yes, it says
paragraph.
review and approval. And that was the discussion you had with me and Katie.
Up top here.
So I'm, so
Line
it, to,
four.
excuse
Is that the
me,
same?
is, where in the
You're on the
code,
different page. Oh, no, you're.
Where in
you're
the
a
code does
different
it
place.
say that that can't be done? It
Right,
seems like the code is
as a state.
silent on
I-
it.
Okay, so our code is a requirement of when you have to go to the HPC.
For review.
As the city manager, it is my position that if something is not required to go to the HPC under the code, we're not going to take it to them.
But he's just suggesting it as a recommendation, which is in our
The
purview.
wording in the report says, in the draft report, says review and approval. The
So-
conversation that Alderman Arnett had with me and Katie was that it would require HPC approval. And as the city manager, I object to that. And nor do I think you have the authority, by the way of changing a project description, to require something to have the approval of the HPC if the code doesn't require it. If you want them to have to approve something that they currently don't have to approve, and I don't know whether they do or don't on this, it depends what the design ends up being, then change the code.
So if we take out an approval and leave
No,
it
no.
HPC,
So, the curb line, go to HPC for review and to the city council for approval.
so you're taking out sidewalk?
No, I'm saying,
Existing-
Finance Committee asked for modification, asked for any modification of the curb line or sidewalk, go to the Historic Preservation Commission for review, and come back to the city council for approval. We're asking them for a review, not for permission.
You get all that to care?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just pull that one clause and move it. Okay. All right.
So by virtue of putting this into our report, does that do anything with the program?
Well, it has to be, we're recommending it to the council.
Right.
The council will have to vote on it. If the council agrees with this,
That they
then
will have to
the
amend?
CIP would be amended.
Okay,
We're only making recommendations.
right.
The other thing in that body there is we need to make that word bridge, B-R-I-D-G-E, in the fourth line up from the bottom of the paragraph. So it's just a typo.
Oh, well, I asked somebody what was the Bride building, and no one could tell me.
Yeah, I didn't know where that came from either.
Right, bridge.
The notion of a land swap and, I guess
Bridge
because it's
building.
bridge building. What is,
Well, the plan was described to us by Tom Baum and Will Rao was that in exchange for doing the land swap, we would get
A
one or
bridge.
more bridges.
right, one bridge, he said.
Well, Tom said one
Wait.
bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know how much we'll get until we know what would be built on Spa Road, because as I've said before, if you built, for example, all affordable housing units, the value of Spa Road is worth less than if you built market rate units or some combination thereof. So the difference in the market value of Spa Road and Forest Drive would depend on what was built on Spa Road.
So what we're saying as the finance committee is, we don't want to fool around with that anymore. We want to move forward with building the facility, the Department of Works facility at the Spa Road location.
So we have an amendment that we are drafting that puts conditional appropriation into the budget ordinance itself. It'll be a new section 24, and it will say, we hereby, the city council hereby, whatever the language is, the appropriation, the 5.8 million, whatever the number is, for the maintenance facility may only be spent to build a maintenance facility at 936 Spa Road. That's called conditional appropriation language. So you're giving us the appropriation on this condition, that it may only be spent for Spa Road.
I'm just looking to make sure we don't have any loopholes.
There are no loopholes.
Well, but we,
So,
the
can,
sense of the finance committee when we voted on it is, we want that to start as soon as it's feasible. David told us they have to go back and rebid
Right.
because it's sat, but
but he said fall. He said it would
Yeah.
take 3 or 4 months. but-
Well, and the cost is going to go up when we rebid
Yeah.
it, and you're going to have to identify a funding source, which presumably would be bonds, which affects our debt affordability.
Right.
And in conjunction with that amendment that she referenced, the description on the budget page would be changed.
In the final budget book, that's correct.
Yes.
I don't know what you mean. What,
So you have a description
at the
here.
top left of the
Oh,
budget
yeah.
page, it talks about the project and what it's going to do would be changed to match the conditional language.
well, doesn't this speak to it being,
It talks about it being,
This
in
says
limbo.
where the replacement facility is built is contingent on negotiations. If your recommendation passes the full council, we would change the project description to say the project replaces a public works facility at 936 Spa Road. The old facility sustained significant damage.
I'm not sure why this was changed to put this in the book anyway.
Because-
this is not accurate.
It is accurate. This is the mayor's proposed budget, and his proposed budget is to have money appropriated for a maintenance facility, but where the maintenance facility will be built in the mayor's proposed budget depends on the negotiations and whether we would be successful in those.
Okay,
You're
so-
saying you don't want to do the negotiations, you want it to be on Spa Road. If you're,
Well, no, you're right, you're right.
Right?
But I guess I'm just concerned, this is one of those loopholes I don't want us to miss.
it won't.
Because
Alderman,
this has got-
Alderwoman Finlayson, I assure you, if your recommendation passes, there is no loophole, and we will make sure there's no loophole.
Okay, well, the mayor has rewritten this project okay, well.
The way you have no loophole is because you are amending the budget ordinance, which is law. And you are amending the budget ordinance to say you may only rebuild the maintenance facility at 936 Spa Road.
Okay, well, we need to.
If we did
just-
anything other than that, we would be in violation of the ordinance.
Okay. All right, it's on our radar.
Right.
Is there something else, what about the Truxton Park?
Well, that
Ask
was,
for rewording of this project, adding language stating that the project
right.
put
Remember
in
we
place the
talked
infrastructure.
about the fact that the Truxton Park pool design does include putting in place the infrastructure, I don't know where it is in the book, but,
Yeah.
and that wasn't in the language. So when we voted on that, we said, put that in the description.
Okay. That should be,
I have no idea. I have to go back to the index. Truxton Park. Swimming pool, page 33. So, before additional funds, what I had written down, notes from that, is to add language for the bubble infrastructure as part of the rebuild.
I thought, and I'm reading the description, and the last line says that they're requesting additional funds for the parking lot and to purchase furniture.
Right.
I thought in the last presentation, actually when Mr. Trader was here, he said the parking lot was included.
That's
Parking
not
lot
what-
is included.
Yeah, that's not what we heard when they were, when we were
Because-
going over the CIP.
Yeah,
Well,
yes,
you
it
weren't
is.
here, I don't think.
Yes, it is. The parking lot is included. We talked about the whole thing being bundled together, and that's why we
Yeah.
can use open space money for it, et cetera. So this includes a new pool that is a competitive 25-yard, 6-lane lap pool, a family leisure pool, a splash pad, a snack bar, and ample shaded patio areas. The additional funds in FY20 are requested at this time to improve the parking lot and purchase furniture. That is the project description. It does include the parking lot. The design does include, which we've already got the design underway, right? It already includes the
Okay.
infrastructure for the
That's
bubble.
what I
Is
thought
that
he
the
told us.
200,000? The other?
But,
The 200,000 is for furniture and furniture and furnishings.
Okay, so the,
that's
in
already
the
allocated.
3.4 million, 3.8 million is the parking lot, but not in there is the furniture.
Neither the parking lot nor the furniture were in the previous scope.
Right.
Do you
They are
remember that
now,
we
the
allocated
additional
open space?
$842,736 is what it takes to do the parking lot, the bathhouse, the furniture. So the entire project cost is $4 million.
So this 842,736 are included in the capital plan?
In the capital budget for
In the capital
FY '20.
budget,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
I wasn't here for that vote. I just want to ask.
Yes, you were. You were here when Archie presented it.
Yeah, but not when we went over
When you
the
recommended,
CIP.
I assume you
Oh,
recommended
okay.
this favorably. Do we have any exposure with this number on construction? I mean, is it still in negotiations? Do we have a contractor? Has the price been confirmed? How many bidders, are we talking to? I mean, I just want to make sure that this doesn't creep up again.
Okay, as we said before, it's not a creep up. I would like to stop using language like that if we can. It is a change in the scope. Originally, we thought $3.1 million was going to be enough to do the swimming pool, and that was it. And we knew we didn't have enough money for the bathhouse, or we didn't think we did. We didn't think we had enough money for the parking lot, and we didn't think we had enough money for furnishings. We were just going to build a pool. And then when we put it out, it came back that we could do the pool, a whole lot of pool, plus the bathhouse, plus we could do the whole pool and the bathhouse for the $3.1 million. And because of that, we then could bundle that with our open space allocation from the county and be able to use open space money, development money, to do the parking lot and the furnishings, because they're all part of one big capital project, so it qualifies under open space. So it's not a creep up, it's that we can choose to not do this, right? It's a change in scope. You can choose to not do this, and we'll have a decrepit parking lot with stormwater issues, and we won't have furnishings for the new pool. But I don't want it to be described as a creep up. We are purposely,
you previously just-
purposefully
you just-
changing the scope.
You changed the scope.
Yep.
This was supposed to be an in-kind replacement, and you added scope. To me, that's creep up, but
Okay.
that's my lingo. Sorry about that.
Okay?
So I just wanted to be clear to the committee that we added scope to this in-kind replacement.
Yeah, we did.
Okay?
I would
But
also
it's not a
suggest,
surprise. We knew
right.
that going in. I'm sorry, with the pool project, we knew that we couldn't get everything that we needed with that 3.1. We knew that. I mean, if we thought we could get more, we would have done some different things here. But we knew.
And I would suggest that the bathhouse and the parking lot are integral to the project, and that is replacement in kind.
But what is your concern?
No, I just wanted it confirmed that this is not an in-kind replacement, and added scope was included. We always knew about the provisions to add the bubble. So that's
Yeah.
just for record.
Right.
Understood?
But do you disagree with the in-kind replacement? I
I think that
agree
if
with-
you can't afford it, then you relook at scope and say, well, we're going to have to pass on the waiting school.
So I would
Waiting
suggest
period.
to you, why do you think we can't afford it?
Well, we can afford it because we are allocating additional funds.
Correct?
You can
Open
look at it
space
that
money
way.
with a 75% open space, 25% match, that's correct.
Right,
Because we got additional open space money for FY '20 from the county.
right, and we're using it for a parking lot.
We're using it for a recreational facility of which, I mean, I could just as well argue that 3.1 million of our money is for the parking lot and the open space money is for the pool. It is one single project. That's how the state open space looks at it. That's how the county looks at it when they allocate our money. In fact, it was the county who suggested you could use open space money for those bathhouses. So last year, you had neither a bathhouse nor a parking lot. So you could say the open space money is for the bathhouse and our money's for the parking lot. You're just putting all the money in one pot and taking it out for one complete in-kind project of a parking lot, a bathhouse, and swim facilities.
Mr. Trader's ears must have been burning. I think I would commend the county and city staff for coming up with a way to make this work. We knew that 3.1 million was going to be tough to do everything in today's market for a pool that's 50 years old and cost us probably a fraction of what it is today. And so really, it's only costing us an additional 200,000?
Correct, 224, 436.
Okay. And the rest of it is open space money?
Correct.
And for a amenity that's community-wide?
Do you have a notion of amending language in the report? Do you want to add something or amend something?
No, my question started out where I just wanted to make sure that we had a hard number on the construction of this pool and that there wouldn't be any surprise to this number, that's all. And
Afraid nobody
do
can
we have a
guarantee that,
contractor?
but
Is this still an estimate? Fair question, is this still an estimate?
I am writing to David Gerald as we speak. I don't believe it isn't, I believe it has been awarded, but I will double check.
okay.
I thought he said he had to
We
read.
we can always come back. We're just getting this, and again, I want to thank Alderwoman Finlayson and Sheila for staying so long, pulling this together.
Tell my
I have to admit, when I
killed
looked
it.
When I looked at the email, I saw the report, I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. We might actually make our deadline.
Sure, we
All right.
will.
So then we have the language on the Hillman Garage, which, I put together what I thought I heard from the committee when I wrote this. It's certainly open for input of any type. Basically, it's asking for some money to be put in the budget right now to look at an alternative, which is the 450 space replacement. And then I tried to capture concerns from the council's discussion about the swap of Hillman Garage in a PPP arrangement. And I didn't elaborate because we were trying to be short, but we did discuss that. And I think there's concern that we may be overvaluing the Hillman Garage. We won't know. I guess we're waiting on this until we hear from Dan Nees about the work he's doing for the city and the financing authority. So we haven't really seen any hard information about the land swap. But, so
Not
this
land
was just,
swap.
I mean, not the parking garage, the 3P arrangement for the parking garage. Please.
I think at this point, having the $100,000 covers an approach to issue an RFP. Whether that RFP goes to a developer or goes to a contractor is, not in my purview, but I think we should, hold the $100,000 for planning, because my initial reaction to this is that it would be irresponsible to not do anything for a whole entire fiscal year.
So that was the sense that I got when you were sitting there instead of sitting here, is we need to be doing some contingency planning to get into it. And I don't know whether the language that I wrote captures your sentiments or not. I'm certainly open to wordsmithing or changing the substance.
Well, and I would suggest, instead of saying, but also of a 450 space replacement, just say an in-kind replacement.
That's going to limit you to the same number of spaces. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I don't want to limit, I don't want to specify spaces, but also of a, I mean, we need to expand on that and just say allow a feasibility study of two options.
So do you want to have,
It was two options, one being,
okay.
What, may I suggest that you don't even limit yourself to two?
yeah,
Right? A feasibility study of the options
Yeah.
to replace the garage.
yeah, I agree.
Okay.
We don't want to.
So do we have some wording? I'd be more than happy to
Yeah, these dollars will allow.
a feasibility study
Of
of garage
proposed
proposals?
options.
All right.
Of the
Base-
options? Are we adding of the options? or-
Well, no,
No, just,
we're
proposed
striking the
options.
replacement garage, and we're just saying a study of garage options?
Options.
Garage alternatives?
Proposed
Replacement
garage-
options.
garage op-
Garage
options.
replacement options.
And associated financing. I mean, the financing thing is the key.
All right, so garage replacement options and financial, and financial costs, or?
But feasibility study of proposed garage and financial,
Implication?
financial options, and financial structure.
How about financial implications?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, anything else on that paragraph? All right,
Okay.
anything else? Oh, so, fund balances, we're gonna drop in. Should we do the, Davenport as Appendix 2?
Yeah. So this is that where Davenport goes? Right here?
Oh, no, what is, oh, drop in, no, so this
Page
is the new,
21.
this is the new page. Add as Appendix 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Where are you putting this?
We have appendices at the end. So the second one will be page 21.
Did you get
It's
the
up.
first one?
The first one.
The first one is on page 2 at the top.
It's the 4 charts. Replacement of tables of total revenue and all of those.
Right.
Which is page?
Pages 18, 19,
19,
20, and
19,
21.
21.
Yeah.
I have those.
So that would be Appendix 1, so they can go see the new tables there, and sure they have them.
So this is the same, though. This is page 21 also.
Well, yes, well, okay, so we could just say.
So we already have it.
Refer to Appendix,
Yeah.
refer to Appendix 1.
Could you insert the word "be" before "should"? The committee advises the council members that there are many wording and timing changes in the CIP and each should
Oh,
be
you're
read.
back up there. So,
And should, no, and each should.
Say
oh,
that again?
No, oh, I was looking at, it, and each should be read. Okay. All right.
all right.
So we're good
So,
with that?
Now we're to budget process.
Okay, operating budget. And I would have put these topics on top of, had my pages look like yours,
Well,
but,
somehow a hard page break got slipped
yeah.
in. All right, so this goes through the process. I'm not quite sure about the order. Why is capital budget here?
The operating budget was first, it's just not underlined.
Right.
Is that, yeah,
Oh, I see. So operating budget, capital budget, CIP. So this is
yeah,
sort
operating,
of the summary
This is
section.
operating, yeah. The
operating
title is
budget
on a
should be
previous
underlined or
page.
something.
So we need to have, let's see. Yeah, we kind of, this would, remember, was this the Roman numeral 2 on the outline?
But do know that I just jotted down, so
Okay.
the order is not,
Well, so I think
Carved
the
in
order of
stone at
all of
all.
this, we kind of jumped from summary
Yeah.
things to
Mm-hmm.
specific things and back to summary things. So I think we gotta,
Should be moved up, perhaps, the budget process?
yeah, I think the budget process should be moved towards the very beginning.
see, I covered some of that also. So we can either take out, I did the general overview. So, but you could insert that before
think
the second
above-
paragraph at the top.
Oh, okay. All right, so we would move budget process to page 1. After second paragraph. Okay, so this is,
So to be consistent, I would I don't know the formatting sections, but budget process is a section, and then operating budget is a subtopic, as well as capital budget and
but
CIP.
those will now follow. So in my view, we have budget process, which shows up on page 1, and that would include this language about the planning commission. Well, that can stay with it, because they don't review the whole budget, they just review that. So it would start with the city council is required to adopt.
Okay, so, how much of that did we move? Are we moving both of those paragraphs to page 1?
I'm not sure what you say both, I'm saying that we.
The first one, the budget process started early this year.
Right,
Then the next paragraph, the city council can amend
Yeah,
and
that's-
modify.
page 1.
So did
But
we
then
move
also,
both?
then we pick up this
yeah, sorry.
section, this part here, to page 1.
Okay, so under
That's-
code language, and
Right,
is that where we are?
yeah, because didn't we mention the code back on page 1? So it seems like that ought to be, yeah.
Okay, so,
All of this, these will be going up to become after the second paragraph.
I know you
Okay.
keep saying these.
wait a minute, though,
All right, so
let's
that's
be
what we're
clear
trying
what
to
we're
do.
moving.
So we're moving the title budget process. We're moving this language that goes into the details of Title 6.
Okay, so,
The whole
let's stop
section.
for a minute. The
Yeah.
code language regarding passing the annual budget, is all of that to be moved to page 1 also? The only thing you're taking out of that is the
Well-
capital budget and capital improvement plan?
No.
No.
The budget process is one whole chunk, including operating budget and capital improvement program. I
Okay,
don't
so-
know why you'd want to separate that. That was your outline number.
Okay, so
That
that's
whole
one,
chunk.
we just need to be clear how much. We start with the budgeting process, where does that end?
At where, so then
I
you.
think it ends on page 5, just above tax summary.
Okay, so to the last paragraph begins, Finance Committee finds that the mayor's budget
Right.
complies with the code.
Yeah,
Okay, so all of this is moved.
right.
I see, just move it all.
Yes.
Up to recommendations then? including
No, just,
tax
it's
summary?
in basically the introductory stuff,
Yeah, it becomes the second paragraph,
third
The third paragraph.
paragraph.
Okay. So-
following the,
That's what I thought you suggested, okay.
okay. All right, well, it's easy enough to move a
Or it
paragraph.
can be moved, because a lot of this is just discussing the process. It could be moved here to just above total revenue and expenditure by funds, which then drops us back into your outline.
Well, it starts with, the process started earlier, but then the third paragraph on the first page talks about the public hearing. So you jump around.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Well, let's move it
Let's go back
to
to
the
it.
to make it the second paragraph for right now.
Yeah.
And then if we want to cut and paste the
We
third
can-
paragraph, it's an easy
Right.
fix. But it's the whole page, all the way over to tax summary, right?
Correct. Now, Ellie, you wanted to say something about, on the current 5th page, about the line item budget?
Yeah, I think, based on concern and risk management, for lack of a better word, you could say we're not meeting city code on the format, specifically, 6.16.01010, the budget within each category will be a line item budget.
Which paragraph are you on? I'm sorry.
I'm in the
We're
code
right here,
book.
the paragraph, the
Yeah.
line just above tax summary.
Okay.
So we
So-
want to explain, we need to explain why that isn't the case, or constituents could say that we have a non-compliant budget.
May I address that?
Yeah.
Great. So what is a line item is up to you. Whether your line items, you choose to define them as salaries and benefits, contractual services, supplies and materials, capital outlay, other. You may choose to define it within, as every category, every line item in supplies and materials. So office supplies, repair and maintenance supplies, whatever it might be, lots and lots of things. Last year, your legally adopted budget was, for the operating budget, was 3 lines for each department at the most. It was salaries and benefits, operations, capital outlay. So in the past, coming into this position, when I looked at your budget, your legally adopted budgets were using those line items. So this year, we've expanded it. You have additional line items because we've broken out contractual services, supplies and materials, and other from the more broad operations category. And we've broken out divisions within departments so that you have Public Works Street, Public Works Roads, et cetera. But the legally adopted budget last year was salaries and benefits, operations, and in some cases, like MIT, capital outlay. So line item is as you define it.
Right, and so last year was such a swirl, and this year too. What I tried to do was to finesse this because we had discussions with Jody. When we get OpenGov fully up and running, you can click over a item, say supplies and other, whatever the category is, and get all the detail you want. What Jody said to us is the more defined you are, the more you're holding yourself to those appropriation levels, and if you want to change it, you've got to go back during the year and amend it. Did I understand that correctly?
That's absolutely
Right.
correct. So if you were to, so if under supplies and materials for the Office of Finance,
Right.
you have 15 line items, and the director wanted to take $50 out of the office supply line item and put the $50 in the copier line item, I would have to do a fund transfer and report it to you
Right.
at the council meeting.
So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
what I said is, we had the discussion and determined there needs to be a balance between the appropriated amounts and the line item detail. I forwarded it to the council for discussion. I am fervently hoping, for all of our sakes, and particularly you, Jody, by next year, we're going to have a more stable platform. Any of those of us, Ellie, you and I are numbers people, that want to drill down, we can drill down to our heart's content through open government and calculate percent change, percent distribution.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that you could say that this is not code compliant unless the Finance Committee acknowledges that the way these line items are addressed, specifically it's salaries and benefits, contractual services, supplies and other, and capital outline, define a line item budget, or else we're not compliant with the code.
So I would suggest to you, in addition to that, you're already not in compliance with the code and haven't been for years, because it says the budget shall be divided into general fund, off-street parking fund, transportation fund, stormwater management and refuse collection fund group. We don't group them together, nor should we group them together.
Right.
Water and sewer fund group, again, they are separate funds. They are not a fund group as we do them, so you're already not in compliance with that, and we have other funds that aren't even listed here.
Let me ask, do we really want to highlight the deficiencies in the program that we're using? I mean, we're between 2 programs now. I mean, as far as the way we used to do things and the way we're moving towards doing things. I would think that we could simply put this on our parking lot list and say,
I thought we did.
then do we need it in this section also? If it's on the parking lot, that we have to come back and
And you know that we are
address it?
trying to revise the code, where the code just is insufficient and not appropriate anymore. It's a huge undertaking, but this is exactly one of those cases. This should say, the council shall adopt financial administration policies, which you've done. That we have to show that anticipated revenues and fund balance are enough to cover expenditures, because otherwise your budget isn't balanced. That should be in there. And that, in addition, it shall be done by line item, which shall be salaries and benefits, contractual services, materials and supplies.
Yeah.
Whatever you decide it should be, and that's what should be in the code. Right, but-
That's what I'm saying, is that we.
But it doesn't mean that we're not in compliance with the code right now, Alderwoman Tierney, because what is a line item budget is what you, the city council, decides a line item is. And so we have proposed to you that a line item is salaries and benefits, contractual services, supplies and materials, capital outlay, and other if there is some kind of other. If that's not what you want, then you should be amending the budget ordinance to reflect what you want.
So,
Well,
And when you do that, that, by amending the budget ordinance, that then becomes the legally adopted budget. And if we want to move money around from one line item to another, every single time we do it, it's either reported to you because it's 25,000 or less, or it has to be approved by you.
So what we're presented is a balanced budget with funds allocated that leaves us to do more trusting and not verifying. So,
It's not trusting and not verifying. You may ask for whatever support you want, as you did in one particular department, I don't remember which one it was, where you asked in particular what were the line items. I think it was under supplies and materials, Jody, is that correct? For some department?
There was more than once, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like a supplies and
You may
materials
ask
breakdown
for
once in a while.
whatever supporting documentation you want, and we will provide it, Alderwoman Tierney.
well, I think we have to agree, or, accepting this means that we accept this as the line item structure. I'm not one to add how many paper clips are in the budget. I'm just saying that this is a new format that somehow we need to codify. How about if I say it like that? Otherwise, it's
I think it
sort
is,
of a hybrid. It does show the fund allocations, and it's, I think we need to put on the parking lot to revise the code a little bit,
well, so
or
I think Teresa,
define.
though, makes a good point. A lot of this stuff is outdated. So how would you feel about adding, we have this sentence that says, "This is something to be discussed by the council, possibly for next year's budget after open government accounting is placed. The committee suggests that we may need some legislation to update, Title 6, 16010, because I think we do. I worry that we're getting, not that I didn't take us into the weeds other places, but that we're getting a little bit into the weeds here. When we asked Jody some questions about something, she was able to pop right down and tell us some of the detail. So I have no doubt that the detail's there. I have no doubt that we don't have time to be able to do that this year, and that's why I was trying to put in finessing language that says, when we get open government, we can look at anything we want to look at and do our due diligence.
I have a lot of constituents that watch this meeting. The budget is online, and I'm just saying, in the interest of transparency, when they question, this is not a line item budget, I want to be able to answer their concerns.
Okay?
That's
And
all.
I
That's
think
all.
that's totally legitimate.
And Alderwoman Tierney, I can tell you, if Jody had adequate staffing, all of this would have been not only in your budget book, it would have been loaded into Munis as a proposed budget, and then we could have generated reports out of Munis
Did you get the sentence?
that would have provided you with that.
Maybe
But
we could put in our
Are we gonna
report
add that
that
sentence?
when asked for detail, it was provided, something to that.
You may
Sorry.
need
Maybe
some
we could put
legislation.
in our report that
Oh,
when
I
we
thought you was putting us on the parking.
Yeah.
I just want to address this line item question and just say in
The committee may
response,
need some
you know, whenever we ask for
legislation.
detail, it was
Some legislative
provided,
updates. Oh, okay.
you know.
Okay,
I mean, I don't want my constituents to assume that I'm accepting a line item for $1.2 million called contractual services, and I don't know what it's made up of.
right. So, and
So-
we all have constituents, I have some.
Right, so, you know, I just maybe put a
So, okay,
sentence in there
do you
about
have
how.
do you have a sentence in mind?
I mean, I wanted to make it look glass half full, where we've got a balanced budget, but, and we are
Just saying.
a new format, and just say that when there was detail was
I
warranted,
was
it was
late
provided.
yesterday.
Sorry.
Somewhere just add the sentence, when detail was warranted, it was provided, or something, just, that would appease.
So the sentence
Okay.
that Ross added was not sufficient?
Well, so it could be another sentence saying that when the committee asked for more detail, it
Or
was
breakdown
provided.
of the
Yeah, breakdown of some of the,
summary, of the
summary
department
categories
summaries,
it
it
was
was provided. 'Cause I'm trying to avoid having to
Just for the
present
record,
100
it was
pages of
6:30
paper clips.
yesterday. Just want you to know that.
Right.
And you're, I know, but, you know.
all right.
Okay, can we go on?
So did you get that sentence, Takia?
So, yes, the committee may need some legislative updates to title.
No, there's another
No,
one.
Ellie's additional sentence.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So
I need it.
it was, see if I can paraphrase it. When the committee asked for more detail under the a breakout of the categories that was
Oh.
provided by the administration, provided by the finance department.
That's not a sentence.
For
the
this
same.
year, for this year, all right, I don't know, you say it, your sentence.
Can you work on it and?
Yeah, let me work on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just take a time out here. So my sense is, we're going to do this, we're going to, and I'll stay, but we're going to rejigger, put these corrections in, and get a copy of it to everybody. And then we're going to meet Monday morning just to go over to finalize it.
Yeah, but all the edits should be in today.
Right. Yes,
Okay.
that's what we're driving to do.
Okay.
All right, so I'm on unnumbered page 5, but I don't know whether there were some things, we went through pretty much 1 through 4, I believe,
We're on tax summary, aren't we?
tax summary, right.
Yeah.
Before
So-
we go on.
Would you like to
that-
talk about any of the comments that I had on 1 through 4? Or do you want to wait and come back to those? Or do you not want to hear them?
Yeah, I
We
think
did
we're
the
on a roll.
rebricking,
We
which
do
would-
want to hear, those, but can we just slog through, because we haven't
Sure.
really seen this.
Before we move on to page 5, can you go back to page 4?
Mhm.
The paragraph that starts with the planning commission,
Yes,
Officer.
it ends with "on same."
right.
Can you tell me what you mean by that? If you read it again.
After holding a public hearing on the CIP.
Or on the budget. And
Well, they don't hear the
CIP.
whole budget, they just,
On the CIP.
yeah. Do we want to pull this next sentence up, just add it to that paragraph? City council is required to adopt the capital budget and the CIP no later than June 30th. I mean,
Yeah.
they already know that, but I think just put that up there. Because there are people that are going to read this, strange people. Now, that wouldn't necessarily know the inside baseball. Code language regarding passing the annual budget. Is that taken care of by the stuff we're moving up to page 2? This is the code language.
Yeah, that's a title that, yours didn't come out right. That should have been underlined as a subtitle.
But is that going up to page 2 with?
Yeah, the whole-
Okay. All right, so that'll be going up to page 2.
All of this.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay.
Okay,
I'm trying
tax
to go
summary.
through page by page, but if there's,
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
okay.
Fine.
So we are at tax summary. The correct number is 73.8 cents per hundred.
7.738.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, so take the period,
The way to type that is a $sign and a 0 and a decimal and a 738.
take that other decimal. Okay. Do you have that, Kia? So we're on the middle of page 5, current tax rate of $sign 0.738 cents per hundred of assessed value. Now, is it assessed value in place, or do we need the in place?
No.
What
So
was
it's
the
just
question?
of assessed value.
They wrote the current tax rate of, and they state the rate, cents per hundred of assessed value in place.
You don't need to say in place.
That's what he asked.
So we can
No-
take that
No,
out.
you don't need to put that.
Okay. So now we're to recommendations.
Mr. Chair, and I won't belabor this, but do we really need to get into the constant yield rate and all of that, since that's not what we're using?
Well, that's a good question. It certainly was topical in the paper and in editorials to the Capitol. I don't even know, do you know, Jody or city manager, where that is in the code? Because I started to look for it and couldn't
It is in
find
the state code.
State code.
Requires us to calculate the constant yield rate and report back to the citizens that if we wanted to raise the same amount of dollars, because the assessed value has gone up, you'd have to lower the tax rate. So they want you to state, this would be the constant yield rate. However, we are going to keep the rate the same and thus increase the dollars of taxes we're collecting. They want you to report that and be transparent.
So this language needs to
Every-
be,
And that constant yield advertisement and report to the council is required by state law.
okay, all right,
And they give us the wording and the format and the calculations and everything.
okay.
So we probably need to edit this to get that state code. State code requires us to report it, it doesn't require us to make the adjustment. And is it all governmental entities in the state? County does it too?
Do you want a chart? I have a chart of that, of the property tax.
Well, let's go back to Sheila's question. I think we do need to acknowledge it.
Okay,
But I think we need to have the language correct. I think the important thing to me is that for most properties, this is negligible, but cumulatively, it would be a big hit on the city's revenues.
I guess what concerns me is the sentence that says, "No one can remember if the city has ever made this
All right,
adjustment."
we can take that out.
I mean, you know,
Okay,
that's just
fine.
to incite,
Not a problem. Teresa, did I see you had some comments on this?
that's what I was just.
Yes, I have several, if you'd like to go over them.
On this one, on the constant yield.
Oh, on the constant yield. I
Yeah.
just, the sentence that says, "This adjustment is confounded by homes moving in and out of eligibility for the homestead credit." I'm just not sure that that's an appropriate sentence. There's all sorts of things that factor into what
Okay.
the assessable base
That's
is.
fine. Take it away.
So both of those sentences, because
Yeah.
we just took out the previous sentence.
Yep. All right, so we'll need to tweak that up, but
Okay, and I added dollars,
dollars.
$100 at the rate. That was just a recommendation.
The
of-
dollar sign and the zero.
No, no, no. Writing out the word per $100 of assessed value.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you get all that?
Dollar should go in here.
Yeah, the word dollar.
Okay.
And then we're deleting both of these, this one too,
Yeah, I have
and this one. Okay, recommendations. And that is kind
Can
of,
I, Teresa, I don't know whether we're holding you here. Do you want to, do you have something? Okay.
I want to be
because
right here,
I
Mr.
do
Arnett.
have a question, if we can get through this before I have to leave at 11 o'clock. I have a meeting now, I'll come back, but I have
Okay.
another meeting that's about your ward, actually. Anyway,
I need to know.
it's guns. I don't know whether we want to say we have recommendations. This whole thing is filled with recommendations.
Right.
Um,
So what
But-
are they?
Well, simply the two would be to support the mayor's budget as far as fire and public works. Fire with their additional $2 million in funding, and public works with their staffing.
You know, this reads to me like a good conclusion.
Okay, well, but then the conclusion would say that not just these two departments, but all the departments.
No, I think we need to do more when we get to the,
Okay, so this can
Conclusion.
move to the end.
Can I comment that it's SAFER, not SAFIR?
Can we also get what it stands for?
I thought it was SAFR.
Right. I just
I'll write the date.
emailed
It should
Jeannie,
be
and
in
she
your
said
document.
SAF. I asked her SAFER or IR, and she said ER, but I never saw SAFR, so.
Right back and ask her what
Okay.
What it stands
SAFER
for.
stands for.
Okay.
And it is a 2-year, I checked, because I thought it was a 3-year program, but it's a 2-year program?
I don't know, I just know it ran out this winter. It's over.
Yeah.
We had 6 months budgeted in the grant fund in 19 and 6 months in
Right.
the general fund.
And I didn't get into that, I just gave the total increase and what it covered, and a few ancillary things like physical exams and painting the boat. And the other item was supporting public works staffing, increased staffing, and I thought it important that we point out that 8 of those 10 positions are covered by specific funds, which I've listed.
this is David's,
This is David's list,
And
which
And
can
so
be shrunk
when you're
down.
saying 8 of 10, you're talking the 2 that are in the general fund or not?
Yes.
Okay, and I would like to make it very clear in case, because I think Alderman Arnett may not have been here when we had this conversation, I'm not sure.
what was it?
The 2 in the general fund are the positions the Finance Committee asked David Gerald to put in his budget to bring facilities maintenance in-house. And there is a
Okay.
commensurate cut to contract services of a like amount.
Then
So,
can you put that in?
If you don't, I'm just saying, if you don't fund the positions and you don't restore the money to contract services, you just cut our facilities maintenance.
I think that's important to include before we get into the 8 positions.
I would
Can
ask
give
you
me a
to include
sentence?
that, and the reason I ask that is, if you'll remember last year, both MIT and Human Resources, working with me, agreed to reduce contractual services to get a position in MIT.
Okay, so,
And the council ended up cutting the position and taking the cut to contract services. And that had an
Are you talking about
impact.
the council?
The council, a majority of the council, that's all I'm going to say, is a majority, that's what a majority of the council voted for. And so
Okay.
my fear is, somebody starts targeting new positions, you cut these 2 positions, and you take the cut in contract services.
Okay, then that's why I want to put that sentence in it. So say it again. The 2
Where are we putting
positions, it's going to be before, on the 3rd line, before 8 of the positions.
Okay?
So the 2 positions were positions requested by finance.
By the Finance Committee, to bring facilities maintenance in-house with a commensurate cut.
Wait. To bring
Keith's typing fast.
facilities maintenance
In-house with a commensurate reduction in contract services.
Is that reduction?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And contract services. Okay, the two positions were requested by the Finance Committee to bring facilities maintenance in-house with a commensurate reduction in contract services.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can I suggest that the status update for capital improvements become Appendix 2? So we
Yes.
just say, see Appendix 2?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Or Appendix 3.
Whatever appendix is.
I think.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it's 2 because remember, I said
21 was
Appendix 2,
already-
but we're
Okay.
just going to refer back to
I think you're right.
Appendix 1. All right. Community grants.
Okay, community grants. You have those? I sent those separately. I tried to put it in
printed it
and
off
the lines
didn't bring it.
messed up, so I just left it separate.
Do we balance?
Yes, but
So
they're,
we have that issue of the fraternity.
yes, they are not part of the church.
Okay.
Second floor, third floor, the church obviously, I don't know whether they rented or, the fraternity, which is a 501c3, has a conference center. It opened, I guess, a year ago, and it was 2 years ago when they got that $6,000 grant. To me, it was just last year, but obviously it was 2 years ago. And the mayor and I were both there for the opening of this conference center. It is not church-based, it is not church-associated. They don't even share, they're in a building on different floors.
Okay.
And I'm sorry you don't have it.
Well, I printed it out and left it on the print.
Oh, well,
But what I was just going to recommend is that we make that the chart Appendix 3. So just say Appendix 3 indicates the recommended amounts.
there was another issue, because it's not balanced, but Jody and I worked it out yesterday, with the Kunta Kinte,
Oh,
the
yeah.
heck is it?
In
With the
DPW.
Kunta Kinte
Yeah, and I don't,
funding.
and I haven't updated Teresa on what happened with this. So the total of this schedule is off what we appropriated in community grants by $7,000 because we have an amount appropriated in DPW to maintain the Kunta Kinte statue, and apparently that's not through the legal process yet, so.
Okay, may I see the schedule that you're looking at?
Yeah, I just sent it to you in an email.
So it's $7,000 more, but that's because the $7,000 is in DPW, and DPW has not taken over the monument. So we need to move,
Alderwoman Finlayson has said that until we actually own the monument, we cannot maintain it. Is that correct? Did I
that's
say
correct.
that correct?
And that's by the state. I called
Yeah, no,
yesterday,
that's true.
and they said
Yeah, I
the
thought,
city
I thought
can't.
that had gone through already. So, given that it could go through by July 1st,
It will not.
it will not.
It will definitely not. Ashley has worked on, and she met with us, because I met with the KKK, Kunta Kinte folks, with David. She is working on the agreement, but it is now at the State Board of Public Works. They will hear it within the next 90 days,
Okay.
maybe. And then it has to work its way back through whatever the process is. I don't remember now. But it's not going to happen by July 1, that's for sure.
Okay.
And I spoke to Dr. Blackshear yesterday, and they're committed. They're going to go forward and have it clean for this coming year anyway. So we wouldn't be taking over until the following year.
Okay. So, we can do an amendment, I mean, if that's your recommendation, and I would agree with that recommendation, we'll draft up an amendment to be sponsored by the mayor and whomever on the committee votes in favor of that recommendation to move the money out of DPW and put it in community grants.
Okay. Okay.
So then it
So
would
that
balance. It would
It would
balance
still
then.
balance. Are you guys following that? So the community grants is $7,000 over because of the $7,000 that went into DPW for maintaining of the Kunta Kinte monument. DPW's not going to be doing that, so it's going to go back into the community grants, and the
Right.
foundation will continue to do it.
Right. Okay.
Now,
So
my
you should
question
be
is,
able to see it
what
on
do
your
you-
iPad if you,
My
'cause
other
I sent
question
it
is, what did you
separate.
guys want to do with Seeds for Success? Because you had expressed support for it previously.
I put in $4,000 for Seeds for Success.
Councilwoman Finlayson has moved some of the recommendations around, lowered certain amounts, increased certain amounts, to get us to the same bottom line.
For example,
So Jody, in this schedule where it says FY20 committee recommendation, and then it says FY20 finance committee recommendation, the committee is the grant committee in the first instance?
Right. So we should probably make that clear.
So, yeah, we
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
but that's okay, I just want to make sure for what I'm looking at. So, I see your C's for success, okay.
Alderman? Yes. I'm a little confused, because I know some of these are managed by Teresa Wellman, correct?
none of
Yeah.
these are managed by her.
okay,
I
so
mean,
this
what do you
is-
mean? She put the committee together.
Okay. You coordinated with her on the
Oh,
dollar
yeah, I spoke
amounts?
to her yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
so,
right.
a couple of times,
Okay,
actually.
then I'm fine.
Yeah, and she's in total agreement. I had a few questions. For example, we funded the volunteer center in the past. They no longer existed. There were 2 Seeds for Success, and the fishing camp were listed twice, but the second time under a different name for the fishing camp. There were some things we worked out, but she is in total agreement with what we have here. I added some money where agencies, and I can't think of any particularly right now, that need matching, maybe not matching, but they need support from the local in order to get support from the state. So those are my,
Thank you for doing that.
my pleasure.
You do it every year.
And things change, because there are some organizations, like I said, that change names, but I would like for the committee to take an official position in support of my recommendations, finance committee recommendations.
So
Is
did
there a
you want to
second?
know the differences between what the grant committee recommended and what you're recommending? Or,
The bottom number is the same, I'm not
bottom
sure.
number is the same, but there are changes within
Right.
groups?
Right. So I
Entirely
did
up to
move
you.
monies around.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any overlap with,
I'm sorry?
I just wanted, I did verify there wasn't any overlap with the mayor's office initiatives or anything like that. So I'm fine. Do you want a motion to approve?
Yes, please.
I motion that we approve the latest, is there a reference, community,
Well, we approved the finance committee recommendations as shown in the latest table,
Last column.
in the last column.
okay, so
And I'll-
moved.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? Again, thank you for tackling this. You were very busy yesterday.
I know.
Managed to
All
put
in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
I would like for us to make a notation that we want to encourage folks to work together. There was, I can't think of which organization, it was Maryland Hall, that wanted funding to do concerts. Well, Arts and Public Places
Oh,
is
my
doing
gosh,
concerts, and the
yeah.
mayor's office is doing
I know,
concerts.
that's-
And so I shared with all of them that they need to come together instead of expecting funding for all these separate silos, and that they need to be working together.
Yeah.
And so that they can, spread their resources around. So that's my only notation for this.
Well, I would add to that, so like Maryland Hall's doing their concerts at Maryland Hall.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody who's doing concerts downtown needs to get a resolution to approve them. So we need to remind people, you can't just decide you want to do a concert on City Dock. You have to come and go through the process. A process that I think we need to revisit also.
And as far as their calendars are concerned,
Right.
you know, Whitmore Park has concerts on Thursday, City Dock has concerts on Thursdays. You know, and I know they say they're appealing to different audiences, and sometimes they do, but not consistently. So,
Okay,
all right,
we're on page 9,
fees and
fees and
fines.
fines. I admit that I read this through quickly. I didn't see anything that I had a problem with. Ellie, you mentioned that you could find fees in the code but not fines?
Correct, yeah, I didn't see a policy for fines, and so I just assumed that fees and fines are addressed the
Where did you
same.
find fees in the code?
I should reference it in that narrative somewhere. Maybe I don't. I should put that,
These are
good point,
things
I
we
should.
do automatically
No, let me
every year,
give you a
but
code reference.
Is it in Title VI?
It has to be. No, it might not be. It's easier to go online than to look for this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. There is a, let me go online. There's a code reference. I thought I referenced it. We should.
What, I'm a little bit confused about what kind of a reference you're looking for. In the fine schedule itself, it lists the code section that pertains to each fine. So what are you looking for, Alderwoman Tierney?
Was there somewhere, there's a process to,
I think it was a general reference to they're supposed to establish fees, but it doesn't say the word fines. Was
Well-
it charter?
yeah, let me just check on that.
Because they don't have to establish fines. They do, and the code gives them the authority for each fine that they establish, but it wouldn't be in the charter that the city council is required to establish fines.
So resolution 16-19 cites
Yeah, that's the-
6-16050,
Yeah.
but 1719 cites just the authority to do this in Title I, Chapter 1.2.
Have you, okay, okay, but that's where you're gonna drop in, okay.
Is there a reason? For the parking lot, is there a reason we shouldn't add fines in Title VI, along with where we talk about fees?
Yeah,
What
and
do you
that's my
mean?
question. I don't think it's addressed in Title VI, is how the committee handles I think it's in our financial policies. That's,
No,
is
it's
that
not
your
in our
question?
financial policies either.
Somewhere it tells us how to handle
How to handle what? Fees or
Fees.
fines?
fees. There wasn't any mention of fines.
Okay,
I
so
don't
in
know where I
Title
got-
VI, it says the Director of Finance shall demand and receive all money due by way of taxes, levies, assessments, licenses, rents, fines, or otherwise. So fines is listed in 604040. And then throughout the code, you have sections that say, if you
Right.
park on a red curb, we can fine you. Okay?
Yeah, they all have code
So
references.
604040 is what gives the finance director the authority to collect those fines.
Expenses. Actual city expenses.
All right, so then I don't think we need to, yeah, specific to this section, I think we're fine. We don't need to really say anything.
Okay.
We know what we're.
Well, you'd raised
Yeah.
it as a question.
Yeah, I
right?
thought I had seen a Title VI reference on the Finance Committee's,
So what do we say in the report?
I think we just say concurrent with the submission of proposed
Okay.
annual budget.
We're not citing, so we're
There's
just, you
no
just go
Title
through
VI reference like there is
the
on
revisions. All
the
right.
operational and capital budget.
And there were no revisions for fines
There's the issue with the,
in Title VII?
Oh,
as
fines?
Yes, there were
resolution?
revisions to the fine schedule
Yeah.
that we handed out. They're all related to parking.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
yeah, where did those go? I had those. Oh, the fines aren't in here. It's missing. Yeah, I had a little piece on fines and just addressed that it was just limited to parking. I can resend that piece.
Yeah, so we need to add your discussion on,
Yeah. Legal fines. Who do I send it to?
oh,
All right. Yeah, it's just a little paragraph at the end. Let me make sure you don't have it. Well, yeah, there's this whole section after, what happened here?
I'm not sure why we're adding information that's not necessary. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Ellie, but,
Well, yeah, no, you're
it
right.
says the only changes made in the fine schedule are parking enforcement items to curtail illegal activity. So
Yeah,
would there
where's
be more
that?
than that?
Oh, it's down here. There's a
Yeah, under
space. I was
fines.
confused. I saw this space and I thought it ended. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
So
yeah,
is
just
that
move
okay?
that up. Yeah, it's just a formatting issue.
right, all right.
Yeah, there's fines there.
do we need the sentence that says, proposed revised fee schedule shall be referred to the Finance Committee and to each committee responsible? I mean, that's what's been done.
I only said that because unlike the budget, any respective title has to go to a respective committee for approval. And so I just spelled that out.
Okay, well, it's not a big deal. it just
Yeah,
seems kind of
Yeah.
redundant. Can we go back up?
So you're talking about this,
Yeah, that just, yeah. And then the next one talks about the mayor proposing resolution.
so you're suggesting we can drop those two paragraphs?
I would think so, because it's
Well,
stated
they're
back
your-
in procedures.
Your
and-
paragraphs, Ellie, so why did you,
Just so, I just explained the process. So that's fine. It depends on just
well,
consistency.
if we're gonna do anything, maybe they should go up into the process section.
Right.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we go back? You will see a section that's in bold, and I did that deliberately because I took the liberty of adding that section. I took out something that wasn't clear, and this is what we did.
Oh, yeah.
You were, I think,
I wasn't here.
you weren't
but yeah.
here, but we asked the Rex and Park Director to bring to us rates prior to the opening of the new pool, new rates. The current rates will stay in place, and the new rates will take effect with the opening of the new pool.
So will we have time to, that'll have to come to us, right,
Right.
for review? Because remember, when the council insisted that Parks and Recs increase fees, and the result was revenue went down, because we priced people out of the,
And what they brought to us initially were increases from $4 to $8 on the old pool. And it's like, no, we're not going to do that. But we do recognize that when the new pool opens, we should be increasing some of the fees.
Right.
So that's what they're going to bring to us. So that's what is in bold. If you all will agree, we'll leave it there, but we will unbold it.
yeah. I mean, this whole report is supposed to be an aid to our colleagues, so I don't care whether it stays bolded or not.
So,
But I do agree with the expression.
okay, so
I'm
Takia's
confused.
working on the legislation.
Yeah, so, but I'm confused about why it's showing up here. We do fines, and then we jump back to debt ratio, and debt is a percentage of assessed value, debt service, debt payout, current status,
Again, all of this can be moved. This was
Right.
just the,
I would recommend
using
that.
that list that I jotted down.
We're following the outline, right?
Uh-oh, the attorney comes in.
Little business here.
So, yeah, feel free to
I would
move.
think, I'm not sure, there's a lot of detail. Debt capacity less 10 fiscal years.
Where are we putting the fee schedule and the fine schedule as appendices? After,
Are
Or-
we going to include those in the document or just refer them? Okay.
I think we
So it'd
should,
be
at least the
appendix
red line
4 and
copies.
5.
So do we want to put them after the discussion of fees and fines?
Yeah, I would think so. So appendix 4 for the fees. This is turning out to be a big document. Appendix-
I know, I was trying to keep it under 100 pages, really. Okay,
Well, that's just the appendix, right,
Yeah.
of the fees and fines.
yeah.
Oops.
Well, the whole thing was 147 pages. So where do we want to put that ratio policy?
Well, I think it comes after fees and fines, or don't we have a?
Before the
don't we have
legislation?
a, section earlier? Where I think it's appropriate is where we're talking about the CIP, which is back on unnumbered page 3. But I think it needs more of an introduction, but that's where we are gonna be, and we're gonna have to have some.
Before fund balance?
Yeah, I think so. Because as Teresa pointed out, if we're doing the moving up both Hillman and the sidewalks, we're going to hit that blip in the Davenport report that shows that we get very close to the debt ceiling target. And, which is,
Here is it.
it's way back here.
And you're talking about all of the discussions about debt? Debt as a percentage, debt service as a percentage of general government expenditures, debt payout ratio, and current status, all of that.
All of that, yeah.
Can I interject some terminology here? When we refer to the debt policy, the target is 10%. The limit is
Yes.
12%.
Right,
So don't use them interchangeably. We
Right.
can't get above 12, that's our limit.
Target is 10, limit is
So,
And if I might, on Hillman, Alderwoman Tierney, in your conversation with Mr. Neese, my understanding is, when we had originally put the budget together, that that work would not be done in time to do anything in FY 2020 through the Resilience Financing Authority. But in subsequent conversations with Mr. Neese, and I believe in your conversation, please correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like, in fact, we might have a Resilience Financing Authority in place in FY 2020, in which case the $100,000 that you want to put in for Hillman should just be a funding source of the Resilience Financing Authority. So what you have in 21 and 22 now, you would simply put in 20 and 21 with the same funding source of the Resilience Financing Authority, and it would have no impact on our,
Yeah, that's my
Debt
understanding,
ratios.
that we're basically moving it up because,
that's what I thought, and that is the amendment that Katie and I are drafting.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, it's not bonds, and it doesn't affect your debt affordability.
right, we're not touching
I gotta
bonds.
run over to this other meeting.
And then if we're putting
Oh, that issue.
Davenport in.
Yeah.
We said
No, it's a
Davenport was gonna
no-brainer
be an
that if we
appendix
touched bonds would be,
well, we'll have
it
to worry
says
about
right
that,
here,
but
you-
I don't know.
now if it's moving to page 3, it'll
or
probably
the
be
way I looked
earlier
at it is
question.
at
Yeah.
12%,
Yeah.
which we don't want to be at. We could borrow 13.8 million.
I have something, I have a question I have to ask Teresa
Okay.
on the record before
All right,
I go.
All right, Alderman Finlayson?
I don't know, and I'm out of order probably with this question, but it does have to do with legislation. 012, and I guess Charter Amendment 2. Yesterday in Economic Matters, we were informed that you had agreed to remove all language that spoke to the environmental policy position.
In ordinance 12?
And I think it's 012, isn't that what?
Yeah.
And Charter Amendment 2?
So you were told that I agreed to remove, I was in
Yes.
agreement with removing all language related to environmental policy?
Exactly.
Absolutely, positively not true. I stand by 01219 as proposed by the mayor, the reorganization as proposed by the mayor. Alderman Savage wanted amendments to ordinance 12 that I said were not in amendment form, that took out all the
remember that
changes
discussion.
related to environmental policy. We offered to put those in amendment form, which he said, we don't need the Office of Law to draft the amendments, as you'll recall at your meeting this week. And then I told him that his amendments had unintended consequences, and he said he would talk to Gary about getting the amendments, and I asked him to talk to our acting city attorney, Carrie Berger, about it, and he agreed to do that. So my last understanding from Alderman Savage was he didn't want me doing anything with amendments, and I can assure you I do not agree or support an amendment that would take out the changes to environmental policy as proposed by the mayor in the budget and in ordinance 1219. I fully support the mayor's proposed budget, and ordinance 1219 is proposed.
Then I am deeply concerned, and I would like, and I don't know what the order is, but I want to move to reconsider my vote on that committee. Because we were totally misled.
This was
in-
Economic Matters?
Yeah,
Not
yes.
Finance Committee, Economic
Yesterday.
Matters. I spent last evening watching Finance Committee 2 days ago, so I have not seen Economic Matters.
Well,
You need
so
an assistant.
yesterday,
And housing too.
Housing and Economic Matters took up,
Housing also?
yes.
Yes.
They both
Why did
took-
housing take up 1219? What does that have to do with housing?
We don't know, but it was referred to housing.
Okay.
And they also amended to
And
take
who's on
up
housing?
Yeah, I myself.
Alderman Rodriguez and Alderwoman Tierney, and with the vacancy.
With the vacancy. And was that Alderwoman Tierney, was that a representation made to the Housing Committee that I was in support of changes to Ordinance 12 to remove the environmental policy reorganization?
I don't believe, and correct me, Takia, for the record, I don't think that was brought up.
It wasn't brought up in.
Okay,
It wasn't
because I
brought
just
up
want to put on the
in
record, that is, if anyone has said that, that is an absolutely false statement.
Both committees offered amendments to remove
That-
any language in.
That's fine. They can offer whatever, they can make whatever recommendations they want. The city council can adopt whatever it wants. But I don't want anyone out there saying I made a representation that I didn't make.
Well, maybe we can just, what do you call it?
If it was said, it would have been at
Economic Matters.
Economic
Well,
Matters.
if we're going to go,
Suspend the meeting, and
is that good?
we both have to go to a gunfire meeting
Oh.
now. But I'd like to continue what we're doing.
Okay.
So can we, what do we, go into recess
Yeah,
and pick it up?
for an hour maybe, if
Well-
that long.
Yeah.
How about recess until 1?
You can go do whatever you have to do.
I
know
have a
we're-
lot to do,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I need more than just.
Okay, well, we're going to come back.
So here you say that.
I'm going to
that's
run
why
over.
The Finance Committee finds that the budget,
something
so I want to add regarding projected revenues and
Okay.
expenditures. And then I'll add a little section. I'm not sure where to make my edits.
Okay, well.
If I can get back to you quickly on your question on the pool. So I asked David Gerald, has the pool contract been awarded? Is the number in the budget firm pending any unforeseen
Okay.
circumstances? He said yes and yes. The contract for Phase 1 includes design, permit, and construction. The contract for Phase 2 will be a guaranteed maximum price for construction based on the design drawings. Value engineering will be done, if needed, to get within the available appropriations.
Perfect.
Can I have a motion to go into recess until 1 o'clock?
Oh, okay.
What time were you saying?
1 o'clock?
And then 1 o'clock
Or
goes to,
is there a better time for you?
Monday.
Monday. yeah. But
I
we're
need to
so
know so
close,
I
we
can
still have
tell,
hear
I have to
Teresa's
tell the
stuff.
TV crew a
Okay.
time. Because I
Well-
can't just have
Teresa,
them
you
in
come off
limbo.
mic. Are you familiar with the county jury service? Like you
I
call
gotta
the
go to
night
this meeting.
before? and
We're
you've
going
never
into
done
recess
that?
till 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike. I got
Going
called
to
to
recess
jury
until
duty
2 o'clock.
for the first time, the county.
Is that okay with you, Jody?
You ever done that? Because
Go-
you
go
have to
into
check
recess
5
until
o'clock
2.
the day before. In
That
other
gives
words,
us time
I don't
for
know
this
where I'm going to
meeting.
be Monday morning, based on. That's true? And then what? You show up and then you say that your husband is an FBI agent or something to get off of it?